Welcome back to OpenLine, talking about our current workplace standards safe for Nashville construction sites. So a bill in the Metro Council would bring about some reform, some changes. That's our discussion tonight, and happy to have both of our guests with us. I want to get into wage theft, how exactly it works. Councilwoman, how does it work? What are we seeing with wage theft? How does that happen on these construction sites?
Yeah, wage theft happens when a lot of the subcontractors don't have contracts with the main contractor, right? The main contractor passes the. They said, well, I paid the subcontractor. If they didn't pay you, that's between you and them. And so when you have subcontractors and those subcontractors have subcontractors and those subcontractors have subcontractors, everyone's passing the buck. No one wants to take responsibility. They prey many times on minorities and people who just don't know that they need a piece of paper or that's going to say, hey, I'm going to pay you. Or maybe they're like, well, I trust this person. I've worked with them before. I know that they'll pay me, but then something happens. And so many issues happen when we don't have just one simple contract that says, on this day, you will get paid this much for all of this work. And then Ethan could elaborate a little bit more, but it's all based on this tier system that has been created. Yeah,
Ethan. Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely, it works a dozen different ways, and the way that the council member just explained is the most prominent, which is just straight up when you have no leverage in a situation and no contract, then you take what the boss gives you when he says, well, you can take this pay, or I never knew you. But there's other situations too where you work more than 40 hours in a week and you don't get overtime. You are working without you're working for less than is required by federal law when you're working on a federal project, for instance. And the law says you're supposed to make a certain amount of money for carpentry work based on the Davis-Bacon law. But instead you're making, $10 less than that because the contractor thinks nobody's going to find it. Nobody's going to check. You work unpaid overtime, just straight up, guys, you got to come in an hour early and you got to stay an hour late to clean up, but we're not paying you for that. And if you don't do that, you're not getting a job here. And that's just become very common. It's something that a lot of people, some people listening tonight, probably have experienced themselves firsthand in the restaurant industry. There's a group called Rock Music City that's organizing restaurant workers. You can look into about that. But it happens a lot in construction. It happens a lot in some industrial situations and in the restaurant industry. And a lot of it has to do with unpaid overtime, misclassification. So it means paying someone as a laborer when they've been operating heavy machinery, and everything about the business says they should be making more than $10 an hour, but they're being paid $10. And they misclassify them. As independent contractors, they pay them a lump sum for an indefinite amount of work and treat them as an employee, even though they call them a subcontractor. And a lot of people probably have been in that circumstance where they feel like, okay, I got into this job thinking I was going to just be doing a little work. This is turning into 3 weeks. I'm waiting for my payment. It hasn't come yet. And it certainly isn't, when I do the math, it turns out to be $10 an hour. That's what wage theft is.
It's so interesting, and we've done some stories on it, but it's important stuff. All right, I hate we have to take a break. We have another break here, and then I'm going to take a call here, so hold on the line. We'll take a break, be back right after this.